Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for telling my friend my daughter hates her son? So first off, I know I seem horrible, but please hear me out. So I, 34F, have a daughter, 14F. Let's call her Melody, doesn't like people. She has autism, and because of that she can't relate to other kids. Not in her therapy group or anything. She also rarely shows any type of emotion, unless it's with our cat, my friend. I'll call her Polly, has a kid who I'll call Toby. In short, Toby has a crush on Melody. He constantly gives her gifts and asks her out. Polly finds it adorable, while Melody has expressed she has zero feelings for him, and tells me she finds romance weird. Last week he invited her to his birthday party, in which she said no and said that she was super sick. He wouldn't have taken no otherwise. Polly then came over and saw she wasn't sick and yelled at her, telling her how selfish she was and saying that she should have just said she didn't want to go. Melody yelled back, in which Polly told her to respect her elders. Melody then said, "If you don't show me respect, then that gives me no reason to show you any." That set Polly off, and she then called my 14-year-old daughter a bitch. Melody teared up. I never saw that before, so I told Polly to get out, because my daughter hates her son. Polly left, but not without saying she wished her son chose someone respectful to like, in which Melody said so do I. Toby didn't want a birthday party anymore, and he blocked me and Melody on all socials. They also refused to talk to us in real life, which Melody has called pathetic. I'm proud of my daughter, but I need to know, am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA, this woman should have never confronted your daughter and speak to her in such a manner. And it sounds like you should be happy they are out of your lives, because this woman is not good for your family and your daughter doesn't like her son. Melody said she has mixed feelings because he was her only friend, however she knows he was only her friend because he found her pretty. Hey, as a fellow autistic person who was once in Melody's exact position when I was her age, she is 100% better off on her own than with a friend like that. Best case scenario, he eventually would have cottoned on to the fact that she doesn't like him in that way and dropped her as a friend anyway. Worst case scenario, his entitlement would have gotten worse as he got older, until she was in actual danger. This way, she's free to either find herself some real friends if she wants them, or to focus on her own projects and interests if she doesn't. Either way, this random internet person is rooting for her. NTA, Toby needs to learn that no means no. It's not cute. It's creepy. It's cute. Are we still in elementary school? I mean, yeah, it's cute he have crush, but this actually normal teenage behavior for asking someone out. But when someone say no, they mean no, then it's the mom's job to step in, not the a-hole. Am I the antagonist for kicking my mom out after she stole my wife's meds? This happened 2 days ago. To get a little privacy, I have a little 1-year-old with my wife. My mom has been living with us for about a month now and has helped with the baby. Note, my wife has severe anxiety and she needs her pills. It's not an option or I'll skip a day and be fine type of thing. She will end up breaking down in the middle of the store. She won't sleep, she'll forget things easily, she won't get anything done, she'll get overwhelmed that she didn't get anything done, then start crying. This is talked about by her doctor. She has to have her pills every day. Bottom line, she needs her medication. I set my alarm clock every morning at 10:30 for her to take her pills. 2 days ago I didn't get that alarm. My wife has that alarm set also. She didn't get that alarm. I got a call 2 days ago from my wife, who was crying and saying she couldn't focus on her work and she was stressing out. Then it clicked. I never got that alarm. I asked her if she took her meds and she says she forgot if she did or didn't. She didn't. My wife can't get out of work as easily as I can, but my boss is quite understanding, so I left real quick to go pick up her meds. They aren't there. I turned the house upside down looking for them, but nothing. My mom was with the baby. When I got home I asked her if she has any idea where they are, and she said she has them. So, damn. Calmly IW is enraged. This is a health risk. What if she had a panic attack? What if she passed out from that? I can't explain how badly this could have turned out. I asked why she would have them, and she said that she relies on the meds too much and she shouldn't be using them, so she took them. Is she a doctor? No. Does she have anxiety? No. This is what a doctor, a professional, told her to do. I told her that she's not a doctor, she's not her therapist, she's not anything when it comes to my wife's illness. Without a word I grabbed my baby and left. I brought my wife the meds and told her what happened. After discussion, we said that she shouldn't have access to our home if this is going to happen, and it's just too serious to take a risk of it happening again. When I got back we talked to my mom and said that she has 3 days to move back in with my dad and leave her key here. My mom started crying and saying that she was helping her and that medication isn't doing her good, but all I said was she won't know because she hasn't done research. I told her that we aren't going to feel nervous about what else is going to go missing. We appreciate her help with the baby, but she needs to leave. Now I have my immediate family messaging me saying and saying that she meant well and am being disrespectful to her after she's helping us. But this cannot happen. This will affect me, my wife and my baby, and she didn't even say she was wrong. If I let her stay, how do I know she won't do it again? Now for the top comments. NTA. Many psychiatric meds can have serious side effects if they are stopped abruptly. Your mom put your wife at risk. Your wife is taking meds under the supervision of a physician. Your mom isn't more qualified than a doctor. She overstepped in a huge and potentially dangerous way. She can't be trusted in your home. Edit. Typo. Very true on the stopped abruptly thing. If a doctor wants to get you off meds, they wean you off. They don't cut it all together. NTA. Your mother compromised the health and safety of your wife and your child. Good on you for taking a stand. To anyone who gives you grief over kicking her out, I'd be telling them that she stole crucial medication that put your wife and child's health and safety at risk. She was not well-meaning. She was irresponsible, uninformed and reckless, and that could have had serious implications. That's the thing. She probably was well-meaning. But so what? Her intentions don't matter nearly as much as her results. She can be simultaneously well-meaning and reckless, uninformed, irresponsible and foolhardy. And the latter several factors are going to lead to dangerous results, no matter how well-meaning she may be. You're definitely not the a-hole. Good on you for protecting your wife and child from this kind of dangerous interference. Am I the antagonist for offering my son to change his name if he wants to? 36 meters. American. Lost my wife to COVID 2 years ago. She was 33F. Japanese. I worked in Japan when I met her 8 years ago and stayed there. She was a single mom to a boy who is now 10, and I adopted him after we got married. I'm now his only parent. We moved to the US for my job a year ago. He loves it here, Seattle. He has some friends. His English is perfect, and we still go to Japan for holidays 2 times a year to see his maternal grandparents who live there. He has a Japanese name that sounds a lot like an English curse word, so he has been getting bullied in school a lot. He is starting a different school in the fall, and he is scared the bullying will just continue there. I told him I love his name, and his mother chose it because it has a lot of meaning in Japanese, but nevertheless, if he wants to change his name, like add an American middle name, and go by the new name, we can do that. He was happy that he has this option. He said he will think about it. His maternal grandparents are absolutely outraged, called me an R, and said I'm Americanizing my son. AITA. Now for the top comments. Now maybe meet with his new teachers beforehand to discuss using an English name for your son. Lots of first-generation American kids have an English nickname they use in school without legally changing their names. It's a good compromise without doing anything official, and if he wants to as an adult he can legally change it. At my university you can put the name you want to be called, and then the teacher can see your chosen name. All schools should do this. Now I'm Chinese, and I wasn't born in the US, and as a result I have a name that is very difficult for Westerners to pronounce. During grade school my mom ran into lots of issues with people messing up my name and misspelling it, teachers included, so a friend of hers suggested a Western name for me to use. I used that name all throughout grade school. Once I got into college, I decided that I didn't think that name fitted me anymore. but people still couldn't pronounce my full name. My Chinese name is a two-character name, so it has an easy place to split it, although I think in Japanese the split can be harder. Think like Zio Ming can be split as Zio and Ming. So I just use the back half of my name as a nickname. So like Ming. In both circumstances. Fortunately people were not assholes about it, and I had no problems using either names. Whenever I go back to China, my relatives just use my Chinese name. When I'm at my parents' house they also use my Chinese name. Your son isn't losing anything, but rather gaining another facet of his identity, although that can be kinda difficult for older Asian generations to accept. I'm forever going to be one of the American cousins, because I lived a good chunk of my life in America. Am I the antagonist for yelling at my sister during a family party over jokes she made? Throwaway I, 26 male, am currently fighting with my sister Julia, 29F. I recently got engaged to my wonderful fiancée Sarah, 24F. Julia doesn't like Sarah, and never really has. Apparently she isn't good enough for me, which is absolutely ridiculous, because Sarah is such an incredible person. She's super genuine, funny, kind, smart, selfless, though it won't hurt her to be selfish sometimes, and beautiful. My aunt was having a party yesterday. I was there with Sarah. Julia was also there. We were talking in a small group with a few other family members. The topic changed to my and Sarah's engagement with some people congratulating us. Julia then starts making jokes. Needed background I guess. I'm from a well-off family. I mean we aren't Bill Gates or anything, but we can definitely all live comfortably. Sarah is not. She grew up with a low-income background. She had to earn scholarships to pay for school and qualified for financial aid. She also worked through high school and college. Julia started with making jokes about the ring I got for Sarah. I definitely had the money to get a really big diamond. However, Sarah would have hated something like that, so I got something smaller. Julia was making jokes that it's a good thing I got her a ring like that, so she knows not to expect much. She also made a joke about Sarah being a gold digger. This literally could not be further from the truth. In fact, one of my biggest arguments with Sarah is the fact that she refuses to let me pay for stuff. She wants to pay for everything herself. She always wants to split the bill or just pay for the whole thing herself. Not happening. She insists on paying me back if I even get her a $2 soda. When we moved in together she insisted everything be split 50-50 even though I offered to pay for more of it since I have more money. I just want to spoil her, and she won't let me. Julia kept making jokes along these lines, even though Sarah looked uncomfortable, and I politely asked her to stop 3 times. Also, for the record, the jokes weren't landing. None of my family was laughing. She cracked another joke about how I should call off the engagement now, before I owe Sarah half of everything, and I yelled at her. I told her to stop being immature and making dumb jokes and to accept the fact that I'm marrying Sarah with or without her approval. I said that I understand that it might hard for her to wrap her head around the fact that there are good people in the world, since she's been nothing but a judgmental ass her entire life, but they do in fact exist, and Sarah is one of them. I then grabbed Sarah and left because I was done dealing with her. Now she's calling me an asshole for yelling at her and embarrassing her in front of our whole family. She also said that people were really awkward around her after I left and they acted like they didn't want her there. I don't think I'm an asshole for calling her out, but she insists I am. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA. I'm so tired of cruel people using jokes as an excuse to be cruel. Serves your sister right. Tell me about it. It's as if the people around the Joker can't tell that the Joker isn't telling a joke. NTA, well done on standing up for your fiancé. Your sister needs a serious attitude adjustment. Bro, she is going to be 30. 3 whole decades. If she was 14 I'd get it now. Not acceptable but still. NTA, she embarrassed herself. Show her this Reddit thread. Even though you used a throwaway. So she can see how many people agree with you. She can be embarrassed all over again. Am I the antagonist for getting a car for my stepson? And not my bio kids? I just wanna say that I know I was an awful person back in the day, and that's not what I'm here about. I, 37 male, have a pretty bad past. I got married at 20. had a kid, had another kid, did drugs, drank way too much, and gambled all our money away, then cheated on my wife. She divorced me, got custody, and I barely ever saw the kids. I didn't pay child support. I never visited. I just did drugs. 4 years ago I got sober. My kids are now 17 male and 16 F. I got a job. Graduated from community college. Got a good office job. Got my own place and started paying child support, which I'll have to pay for a long time. Because there's so many years I didn't cover. I see my kids on the weekends now, and we are slowly establishing a relationship again. I have been dating my fiance for a little over a year now. We live together and her son, 16 male, lives with us. For his birthday, we bought him a car. For my son's last birthday, I got him an Xbox. And for my daughters, a new guitar. When my ex found out about the car, she flipped out and said if I have extra money, I can buy stuff for my actual children who also want nice things. I told her I got my kids what they asked for their birthdays, and if they want cars, I will gladly pay 50% of the cost, because I paid for 50% for my stepson. The other 50% was paid by my fiance. She called me a selfish R and said I haven't changed at all. Now for the top comments. Info: did your BO kids know that cars were on the table? Also, is your ex capable of paying for half of 2 cars? Follow up to this: if your ex is not capable for paying the other half of 2 cars, would the back-chilled support you owe her more than cover the cost of the 50% on the 2 cars? AITA. So you're offering the same deal for your kids, who you abandoned when they were very young, as you are for your fiance's teenage son, who you've known for just a year. You consider yourself just as much a parent for him as you do for your own children. Wow. And you're doing this, requiring that your children's mother, whose money you gambled away, and who had to raise your children single-handedly for at least a decade, to pay half or your kids get nothing, while owing significant back child support. Since you've got the money now, pay up now. Don't save it for largesse, and at least buy them all of 1 car to share, instead of offering to pay half of 2. You're doing something very common for people who've turned over a new leaf. You're trying to make everything great for your new life. Being awesome for the people that only know you as a great guy. I'm sure it feels a lot better to be seen as so generous to them than concentrating on fully making amends with those you treated badly. But your attempt to be even-handed between those you owe and those you don't isn't equity, and it really runs down your children, to whom you owe so much, to see that they don't matter any more to you than someone you met a year ago. Am I the antagonist for refusing to drive a relative to the hospital at 3 AM? I, 20F, refused to drive family relative to the hospital because my parents disregarded my feelings. I sound like a horrible person. But here's the story. I come from a shitty family, and I hate my father. Has been distant my whole life. Growing up, my mom had to make do with her own medication experiments whenever me and my siblings would get sick cause he was too lazy to drive to the hospital. He missed birthdays, recitals, important life events cause he was busy with his friends. Fast forward to 18. My father forces me to get my license. I have an undiagnosed anxiety disorder and am terrified of driving. Regardless of it, he forced me to get it. I thought it was his way of trying to make me be independent. But the truth was he just wanted me to be the family's chauffeur. When I hit 20, my dad got me a nice car, and I was so happy. But I shouldn't have been. You see, this was a way to control where I was going, since he felt entitled to know because after all, he paid for the car. So the car was mostly used for family matters. So picture this. It's exam week. I'm stressed about all the studying I have to do, since I'd missed time driving my mother to the hospital to visit my aunt. So all those trips added even more stress. Note, we live in a very busy area in a shitty country so everyone drives recklessly and there's traffic. So my father calls my mom, didn't tell me personally, and says my cousin will be staying over for a doctor visit. Tell my name to drive her there. I was pissed since I had to study, but I figured it would be a quick stop. It ended up to be a 4-hour line. We were stuck in traffic for so long, and I was tired and started shaking from exhaustion since I didn't get good sleep either. They're finally done, so I drive home trying my best to avoid the stress. Until we finally arrive, and my mother gives me a long list of errands to run. I was seeing red. I didn't want to embarrass her in front of the cousin. So I just went quiet, dropped them off and drove off. As soon as I did, I started having a panic attack. My body would tense up, and my vision would go white for a couple of seconds. Followed by confusion, and wondering where I was. To almost fainting in a herd of traffic. This kept happening for about an hour. So I drove home. I was so exhausted I didn't even confront my mom. So it's 3 AM. I'm doing exam work and my mother comes in my room telling me I have to drive the cousin to the hospital. And I refuse. My mom then texts me. Says stop being childish. So I tell her what happened today in traffic and her answer is so what? Stop overreacting. I then realized both my mom and my dad only care about anyone but their kids. So I told her off. She called a taxi and drove the relative to the hospital. They came back home. And now my mom is upset with me. She hasn't told my dad yet. But when she does, I'm thinking of returning my dad's gift. I feel bad for not driving the woman to the hospital though. Am I the antagonist? Now for the top comments. NTA. Your family is toxic AF. Use your license to drive yourself far away from your family. For good. This X3000. You don't need this kind of stress in your life in any way, shape or form. Do you have any friends that may be able to put you up? Don't be locked into this toxic environment and start to research/explore all your options to GTFO there. NTA. You're not a servant. One thing is contributing to household. Something else is being treated like a equipment, not like a person. This is gonna continue until you move out and cut off the contact. Your problems and feelings are important. Don't let anyone to persuade you to something different. NTA. You could not have driven safely in that state. Ask your mother if she'd have liked to see her cousin, and incidentally her child whom she really should care about, dead in a car crash because she forced you to drive when exhausted, which is worse than driving drunk.